The way that RAG works is that everything is vectorized and then stored in a database. So when you ask a model a question and they have access to a RAG system or to a knowledge base, what's going on behind the scenes is that it's querying that database and it's pulling the most relevant chunk based on what's being asked. In many use cases, this is very optimal. This is what you want. But with some use cases, this is not what you want. And typically, those use cases are going to be where the model really needs to have a full understanding of everything in order to respond appropriately. A great example of that is if you ever find yourself asking, summarize this, then in order for the model to appropriately summarize it, it needs the full context, it needs the full document. So a couple chunks, a couple vectors isn't going to satisfy. To help counter this, what we did in Msty Studio for our knowledge stacks is we added the ability for full context to be sent over to the model when appropriate. Let's go through an example of what this looks like. I have uploaded a document for a soccer handbook or a football handbook if you're outside of the US. And during the conversation, I'm going to ask the model to summarize this handbook. So I've already composed this. This is a PDF. And then what we'll want to do is under query settings, where it says max full content context, this setting will allow you to send full context of a document over to a model. This ability will obviously take a lot of tokens and require a lot of context typically. The result of this setting is if you're pushing this full document, these full documents over to the model, well, you have to trade that off with the token allotment, because if you're sending large files over to the model, then you're going to be expending a lot of tokens. So be careful when you do this, and I recommend doing this really if your knowledge stack has smaller files, so you're not sending too much context over. And what you could do is you could set either 1, 3, 5, or set a custom value. In this case, I only have one document, so I really only need to select one for this example. And let's go ahead and click on Save to save out the setting. And let's go and start a conversation using this knowledge stack. Okay, I'm going to add this knowledge stack to the conversation and then ask the question, summarize this document. Okay, and with these results, I can see that there's a good summary here, but to verify that the whole document was indeed sent over, you could expand on knowledge stack context. And then what you'll be looking for is under query analysis, it should say full content context active, which means the whole entire document was sent over. And you can double check that again with this full doc tag right here. This full document was sent over as context, so I could view this full content. And with this, I know that the model received the full context and was able to summarize the full thing, as opposed to just receiving a few chunks and trying to summarize based off bits of information, as opposed to the full context it would need to actually provide an accurate summary.